it's a reactive protocol. So only when data is needed to send from source to the destination, only then it will find the path to the destination. In next slides, I will be explaining about working of routing protocol, and default it has two objective functions. Objective function 0, OF0, and one more objective function is minimum rank hysteresis objective function. So what are objective function? Everything I'll be explaining in the next slide. So coming to this one, working of routing protocol for low power and lossy networks. The terminology is used in RPL are DAG, directed acyclic graph, destination oriented DAG, DIS, that is DODAG information solid. These three, DIS, DIO and DAO, are three control messages exchanged by the nodes and between the nodes and also between root and the nodes. These three control packets are used while constructing a DODAG. So what do we mean by DODAG? DODAG is nothing but destination oriented DAG, that is directed acyclic graph. So why it is called as DODAG? On the right side, you can see a diagram where we have a root node R1, and next to that we have A, C, B, and A, C, B are the neighboring nodes. Root is the one, R1 is the one where exactly we want to send the data, that is the destination. And say for example, if I want to send data from B to R1, B is the source. If C and A we are trying to send the data, those are the source. So together it forms a DODAG. And for particular version, C, R1 is there, A, C, B, if they are configured in this manner, then that particular version is called as version 1. In case node A fails, then for example it may die because of the battery. If battery drains out completely, node A will die. In that case, there is node A no more exists in the network. In that case, we have only two nodes left with C and B and a root node R1. So now C is connected to R1 and B is connected to R1 through C. In such case, when the location or position of nodes change with respect to root 1, that is called as version 2. Likewise, whenever there is a change in the topology, when few nodes will come and add to the network, few nodes will fail. In that case, if there is any change in the topology, those are considered as versions in the RPL. So version 1, for the next version, again they are going to add 1 to that one, version 2 and so on. It can go up to version N. So particular DAG you can see, when B wants to send data to root R1, then obviously it will has to find the path towards root 1 only. Whereas if you look at some other applications, they may forward the data again away from the destination. In some other protocols, B may forward data to C, as well as data is also forwarded to some other nodes away from the root 1. So to avoid that one, they are all using RPL. So that is main the one of the best feature of RPL. So always data is sent towards, the path is chosen in such a way that data is centered towards or destined towards root node only, where exactly the destination is there. So hence the name destination oriented directed acyclic graph. So due to this, no loops are formed, hence the churn in the network is removed or it is reduced. Loops are also avoided in routing protocol. That is the main feature why most of the researchers are using routing protocol RPL for their research work. So next, coming to next one. So look at this one here. As I have told you, a root node. Please refer right side diagram. We have a DODAG root, yes, and we have some three neighboring nodes, node A, node B, and node C. And please note that these two, left side one diagram is there and right side I have one more diagram. These two are not interrelated. These two are two different diagrams. I have just used right side diagram to explain the working of RPL. So here always construction of DODAG is initiated or triggered by the DODAG root. So what it does, in left side diagram you can see A is the root node, right side I have just mentioned it as DODAG root. So this DODAG root will initiate the finding the root or finding its neighboring nodes, finding its neighboring nodes by transmitting DIOs. So DODAG root will broadcast DIOs. So once it broadcasts the DIO, node A will receive a DIO message initiated from the DODAG root. After receiving DIO, what node A will do? It will reply with the message DAO, that is destination. Here I have explained destination advertisement object. It will reply with the DIO. Similarly, after receiving DIO, what node A will do? It will broadcast DIO. You can see in the screen, after receiving DIO from the DODAG root, node A had joined the root node. After joining the root node, after forwarding, exchanging DIO packet, only then it is able to broadcast DIO to its next roots. And in the hierarchy, whatever nodes are there in the hierarchy, to those nodes it is able to broadcast the DIOs. So node A will broadcast DIO to node B. Similarly, node B will join the network and DIO is sent back. After reply with the DIO, node B had joined the DODAG constructed from the DODAG root. Then node B will similarly broadcast and so on. Okay, left side now, you please look at the diagram on the left side. So DODAG is constructed by exchanging control messages such as DIO, DAO. So what happens in case A has initiated transmission of DIO messages? A, B, C, here in left side diagram, C, D, E, G, H, I, all these have received DIOs and accordingly they will join the network. But how about the node on the left side? In the left diagram, you can see node B, neighboring node B has not received any DIO. In that case, what happens? It will trigger, it will send a control packet DIS, that is destination. Look at this one, DODAG information solicitation. So by sending a DODAG information solicitation message DIS to the neighboring node, it actually asks for, I want to join the DODAG, please do you have any DIO with it? Like that it will be asking to the neighboring node. Once after receiving DIS, what C will do? If it has already received DIO, it will broadcast that DIO to the node B and so on again. B will broadcast same DIO to the its neighbors. So till B has B, F, K and J, earlier this DAG has not joined the DODAG with root node A. That time it was called as a floating DAG because it did not find a path to reach to the destination. Hence it was floating. And the root, right side here you can see G, H, I, E, D, C. All these nodes have a path or a route to the node A. Hence this DODAG is called as a grounded DODAG. Once after sending DIS, it will receive DIO and it will join. After joining now, B is also part of this DODAG. Then it is called as a grounded DODAG. So that is the main difference between floating and grounded. Next is objective function. Briefly you got to know how it is constructed. Now what is the feature or what is the importance of objective function in RPL? So please understand, RPL is a backbone network. So once information or some inputs are given to the routing protocol, using those inputs a DODAG is constructed. So what are the inputs it is taking? So inputs it is taking is rank nodes. A rank is given to every node in the DODAG. So again, same diagram I have taken for the reference here. See, root node A is there, C, D, E, all neighboring nodes are there. Now look at this one, C, D, E. or one hop distance from node A, right? Then it is rank 1. Similarly, next GHI are at 2 hop distance, then it is called as rank 2. So here hop count is taken as a metric. So based on that, they are computing the ranks, and that computed rank is assigned to the nodes C, D, E. So now based on the ranks assigned to the nodes, a decision is made whether I have to choose the path, I have to choose this as a parent or no. And for example, look at this G. Node G has 3 options. How many neighboring nodes it has? It has D, it has H, and also it has L. Right? G has D, H, and L, 3 neighboring nodes. But to which node it has to choose as a parent? In RPL, it has options. One node is chosen as, one or more nodes can be chosen as parent. When it is chosen as parent, only data is sent to that parent, and parent will take care of the remaining things. So now G has to choose one parent. So which one to choose? Because D is also there, H is there, L is there. Now it uses rank assigned to the node D. So a rank is assigned to D as well as a rank is assigned to H. So what is the rank of D in this diagram? Rank of D is 1. And what is the rank of H in this diagram? It is 2. So which is lower? The rank of D is smaller than the rank of H. So G will understand, okay, D is the best parent. I can prefer this node D as my parent, and I can forward my data through D to root node A. So it will leave this link. It will not choose H. Instead, it will choose D and send the data. So in RPL, when you compare this with the other routing protocols, you can see while in real time only, when you deploy nodes, while constructing DAG itself, it will choose which node I must choose as a parent and which node are the child. When D is a parent, G becomes its child, and if G is a parent to L, L becomes a child to the G. Similarly, L, M, N, all these are sibling nodes. Here G, H, I are all siblings, and for G and H, if they are choosing D as a parent, D becomes the parent. So data is always forwarded towards the nodes which are having less smaller rank. So always that particular path is chosen. Okay, so in RPL, DODAG is constructed based on the rank assigned to the nodes. Parent is chosen, childs are chosen, siblings, like that. A best path is chosen based on the ranks. So now, how are these rank computed? Ranks are computed using objective functions. So RPL provides one more feature, that is objective function. So this objective function is again a type of algorithm. It will decide how to compute the rank and which rank to assign to a particular node. So once a rank is computed from the objective function, a rank is assigned to C, D, E, G, H, I. After assigning those ranks, a routing protocol RPL will come into picture, and that will make decision whether to choose the D as a parent or C. So now I hope it is clear. RPL is a backbone routing protocol. It is just constructing a DODAG based on the information or inputs given from somebody else. So who is giving the inputs to RPL? Objective function OF. That is again one more research area a researcher can concentrate. So different how it chooses the parent, how to send the data. It is defined by the objective functions. So objective function is one more important point where a researcher can concentrate. So next, so RPL by default, it provides two objective function. One is OF0, other one is minimum rank hysteresis objective function. So what is the difference? OF0, objective function 0, computes rank based on hop count. This rank is used by RPL to choose the best path. So always, what routing protocol does in general, the aim of the routing protocol is to choose a best path to the destination, right? So OF0, when RPL uses OF0, it chooses the best path based on the hop count. Again, we have n number of applications: medical, healthcare, environmental monitoring. So based on the application, in some application, we have to concentrate on the hop count. In some applications, for example, if I want to send some video or audio, in that case, what matters? The link. How best is the link, that matters, right? In that case, they can concentrate on latency, throughput. So those are again different metrics. So when you use objective function, this considers only hop count to choose the best path. Now coming to MRHOF. What is minimum rank with hysteresis objective function? So what do we mean by this? MRHOF is designed to find the paths with the smallest path cost while preventing excessive churn in the network. It does so by using two mechanisms. First, it finds the minimum cost path, that is path with the minimum rank. Second, it switches to that minimum rank path only if it is shorter in terms of path cost than the current path by at least a given threshold. The second mechanism is called as hysteresis. So what it is doing, I will refer to the previous diagram here to explain MRHOF. So look at this one. Two objective functions are provided by the RPL. OF0 uses hop count as the metric. So while choosing the path, while computing the rank and assigning, what it does, a lesser rank is given to the node D if it is nearer, and higher rank is given to H because it is a it is at two hop distance from root node A. So in this example, it is considering OF0. So hop is considered based on hop rank is given. One hop distance, rank is given as 1. 1 and 2. H is at 2 hop distance from A, so rank is given as 2, and so on. So to compute rank, it is using hop count. So what happens in MRHOF? So please ignore the numbers given here. Just you refer the diagram I am explaining now. See now, consider G. It can process or it can forward the data either to D or to C. It has two routes. Say for example, in this diagram, what is happening? G is forwarding data to A through D because earlier the cost of this link was smaller, hence it forwarded through link. Now there are some changes happened in the network. Again, the link metric of this may change. The link metric or path cost of C to G also may change. When there are changes, once the DIO is sent, a link matrix gets updated. So now G can choose C as a parent or D as a parent. So how decision is made? Based on the link cost. So it will check. For example, a link cost from C to G is 2 and link cost from G to D is 4, for example. In that case, which one to choose? It will check the previous whatever cost was using, whether is there any change with the cost. Now the difference between cost of C to cost of C to G is 2, cost of G to D is 4. So what is the difference? 4 minus 2 is 2, right? And when you use MRHOF, it sets a threshold there. Say for example, it can consider threshold as 1. So it will compare. What is the difference of the cost? As I have explained, C to G is 2, D to G is 4. So difference is 2. And threshold, again it is application dependent. A researcher can set up whichever value he wants. So threshold is set up as 1. So is difference is greater than threshold? Yes, only then it will make decision as, okay, earlier I was using D, now G has come to know the link cost of C to G is lesser than D to G. So it will switch its parent from D to C. So what MRHOF is doing here, before switching, it will set up some threshold which is being set up by the researcher, and it will check whether is it greater than that threshold. Only then it will switch the parent. Otherwise, it will not switch. If the difference between two path cost is lesser than 1.75, say, in that case, it will not switch the parent. It will follow the earlier parent only to forward the data. By doing so, what it is doing, it is unnecessarily, instead of switching from one parent to other parent, it is avoiding that using a threshold. Hence the name. It is choosing the cost with the minimum rank, but with hysteresis. Earlier history it is checking, right? The previous node which was used, previous parent, what is the cost of that parent? Based on that, if it is more than threshold, only then it is switching to new parent. Hence the name minimum rank with hysteresis. History it is checking, hence the name hysteresis. So most of the researchers are concentrating only on MRHOF when compared to objective function 0. Because since objective function 0 considers hop count, MRHOF has its own advantages over OF0. So most of the researches have been done including MRHOF as the objective function in RPL. So these two are the main objective function given by default from the RPL. Again, one more thing, OF0 and MRHOF, these two are given in detail in some RFCs. I will be telling you those RFC numbers. So whenever you want to work on this one, you can read the RFCs. Next. Yeah, while constructing RPL DODAC construction, I told you root node triggers DIO transmissions. So how DIOs are triggered? DIOs, first time a root node will initiate DIO, okay, it will send, and that DIO will be broadcasted throughout the network. But again, obviously, if there are any changes in the network, a root node again after some time, it has to update about the new information, right? If some node may be added to the network, some node may have removed from the network, some node may have died. In that case, root node has to update the information throughout the network. So how it is done? By sending DIO again after some interval. So that interval, so in RPL, DIOs are transmitted periodically, and period at which to send the next DIO is chosen by a timer, which is being used in RPL. That is nothing but trickle timer. And how trickle timer works is given in this flowchart. So trickle timer is defined by the trickle algorithm. Again, one more RFC 6206 that is published by IETF work. IETF is Internet of Engineering Task Force. They are publishing these RFCs for RPL, for objective functions, and for trickle algorithms. So they are publishing RFCs. So whenever you want to pick this one as a research area, please go through RFCs. Looking at this one, the interval initially, trickle algorithm uses 6 rules. The first rule is interval is chosen. Interval is nothing but a period gap between two DIO transmission. So I is chosen between I minimum and I max. Again, I minimum and I max are given by the RPL network. Rule 2, once after choosing interval, C, counter C, that is DIO counter C is set as 0. After that, a time interval is chosen, but the interval itself is not useful. Again, I am choosing particular time at which DIO has to be transmitted. First interval is chosen in rule number 1. Out of that interval, I have to pick a particular time at which a DIO packet is transmitted to the network. So that time T, somewhere it has to be between I by 2 and I. Timer ends at I, and I by 2 is the starting point. So it is written as per RFC 6206 trickle algorithm. After a timer is set up, it checks whether the message or the DIO received is consistent or no. How it is checked? How, on what basis you are talking about consistency and inconsistency? See, if some nodes fail in the network, so those nodes need not be considered. If there is error in the parent node, a parent node itself has failed, then definitely it is of no use to forward the DIO packet saying node B was my parent. That is of no use because B has already failed or it has died in the network. So it will check whether the message transmitted is consistent or no. If consistent, okay. If there are no loops in the network, no root errors and no parent errors, everything is perfect. Only then it is considered as consistent. And the counter is, earlier it was 0. Now after receiving consistent message, DIO counter is incremented by 1. Now C becomes equal to C plus 1. Then it will check. I have set up time right. At particular time T, it has to transmit DIOs. So at particular time T, before transmitting DIOs, it will check one more condition, whether the counter C plus 1 is lesser than K. K is what? Right side you can refer what is I minimum, I max, C and K. K is a redundancy constant. So why they are taking K? It can be 10, 8, 7. Again, it is a researcher. By default, RPL is keeping K as 10. So same DIO packet, if you send it again and again, what is the use? Because it is having same information, right? So no meaning in forwarding same DIO packets. So to check that whether is the same DIO packet is sent several times, they are setting up some counter that is nothing but a redundancy constant. K. If after incrementing C, if C is lesser than that counter, if it has not, if it is not above the counter K, only then DIO packet is transmitted. And interval, if it expires, what it does? It is doubled. And if after doubling the interval, it will check whether is it crossing IMAX limitation? No. Then set up, if yes, then make I is equal to IMAX, because upper limit can be IMAX, the minimum can be I minimum. It cannot go beyond IMAX. And if it is lesser than that, hello, please somebody unmute. It is disturbing me here. And if it, hello, somebody is, hello.
Hello, ma'am.
Sir, please ask them to unmute. I don't know, somebody is disturbing me.
Okay, yes, ma'am. We'll do it. Done, sir, madam. You can continue.
Okay. So if I is not greater than I max, then what to do? Again, the interval starts here and counter is made 0 and same as it is. Now, if it is consistent, it is forwarding the DIO further for the next nodes. If it is inconsistent, then what happens? Interval length is again chosen as I minimum and go back to the first step. Again, start the process from the beginning. So this is how trickle algorithm works. So now coming to simulator. So which simulator we are going to use today? It is a Contiki OS. Operating system is Contiki, and the simulator which is supported by this is Kuja simulator. So why to choose Contiki OS Kuja simulator when we have some other two OS also available for the wireless sensor network? The other two OS are Tiny OS and Light OS. So I have listed few of the advantage of Contiki OS Kuja simulator over Tiny OS and Light OS. Please look at the table there. We can see one thing is Contiki supports both static and dynamic. You can check both static nodes and also you can simulate it for dynamic node. Tiny OS, whereas it doesn't support dynamic feature, it supports only static network. Next again, Light OS supports dynamic. And Contiki OS is modular, Tiny OS is monolithic, Light OS is modular, and the stacks which are supported by Contiki OS are IPv4, IPv6, and RIME. It supports all three, whereas this feature is not available with the other one. As we all know, IPv6 has its own advantages over IPv4, and it is supported by Contiki OS. No other operating system support IPv6. And the programming language which we use to code here is C in Contiki OS. Nest C and Light C++ are used in TinyOS and LightOS respectively. And multi-threading is supported in Contiki, whereas TinyOS partially it supports. LightOS also supports, but the simulators supported by Contiki are Kuja, MSPSim, NetSim, and TinyOS are TOSIM, PowerTOSIM, and AVRORA in LightOS. So what is the main feature? One more thing is, look at the second point. Third and fourth already I spoke here while explaining table. Please concentrate on second one. Flexible structure of Contiki OS and its ability to use in many wireless sensor platforms like SkyMode, Mica Z, Zolercia Z1, etc. make it popular. The whatever code you are writing in Kuja simulator, and using that you will check the performance in simulator. Same code can be dumped and can be uploaded on the hardware platforms such as SkyMode, nothing but a Telos B mode, Mica Z mode, Zolercia, and there are many other modes available. So all these same code can be uploaded to these hardware platforms, which feature is not available with any other OS. You have to make some changes to the code according to the hardware, but here same code, C code, whatever you have written, same you can upload on these platforms, and you can check the protocols, how it works on your hardware things. That is one beauty of Contiki OS and Kuja simulator. So thus I have chosen Contiki and Kuja simulator for my work, and same I will be explaining in the next session. Like today, the next part is on hands-on session. These are some of the references you can refer. Here I have mentioned from 2, you can see RFC 6550, which will explain you about the RPL protocol. In detail explanation of RPL is given. RFC 6551 gives you routing metrics used for the path calculation in low power and lossy networks. As I have told you, we can use either hop count as a routing metric, latency I can use, throughput I can use, expected transmission count I can use. So like that, RPL supports many routing protocols. So again, it depends on your interest. You want to choose which metric. So those metrics available by RPL and which RPL supports are given in RFC 6551. And objective functions I spoke about, OF0 and MRHOF. Those two objective functions are explained in RFC 6552, and RFC 6719 explains you about MRHOF in detail, how exactly it works and what are the packet formats, which packets, how it is sending, what changes they are making, which flags they are setting up. Everything is given in these RFCs. And trickle algorithm is explained in RFC 6206. So if you are really interested to choose RPL as your research area, so please first go through all these RFCs and you can start with your work. So these are other papers which I have referred for preparing the slides. 8th one is just a Contiki OS usage wireless sensor network, and all other 3, 9, 10, 11, and 12 are about Kuja Kuja simulation manual, which I have referred for my work. So next, shall we begin with the hardware hands-on tool, or sir, you want to give a gap of 5 minutes?
Madam, can you take that question there on the chat box?
Okay. Can I write them question there?
No, there is a question whether can NS2 or NS3 can be used.
Abdullah sir, are you listening? Shall I address that, sir, now?
Yes, sir. Yes, ma'am.
Okay. As I have told, the one main feature of this one in slide, I have included Contiki OS here. Sorry, where are the slides? Okay, here, as I have told, same code, whatever you are writing, can be dumped and uploaded on the hardware platforms. You need not make any changes to that. That is the one attractive feature of ContiQOS and Kuja Simulator. Hence, most of the researchers are now going or moving towards ContiQOS and Kuja Simulator. And also, I will explain, you can look at the code also. In next hands-on session, I'll be explaining how the code is written, everything I will show. So looking at that, it is actually NS2 and NS3. What I have heard from other researchers is like same code you cannot dump on the upload on the hardware part. So for especially for wireless sensor networks, it supports only wireless sensor network. Please make this as a point. It won't work for other networks. It supports ContiQOS, Kuja Simulator supports only wireless sensor networks. So if you are really working on wireless sensor network, then you can go for ContiQOS and Kuja Simulator. I hope I have addressed that one. Hello.
Okay. Madam, I suppose if you need a break, you can have a break for 5 minutes.
You just ask with the participants if they need. We can have break.
What I'm afraid of is whether you will get requisite amount of time to go ahead with your hands-on.
That's what even I'm concerned about, that if we give 5 minutes, then definitely it will be extended to 10 minutes, I know.
Okay. No, if you're comfortable, you can move on
no,
to
I
hands-on
don't have
session.
any issue. Yes, I don't have any issue, but please make sure whether all the participants have downloaded VMware and Contiki 2.7. Please, you can just ask them.
At this point of time, I just asking whether they have logged in through laptops or desktops, whether the software had been installed or not. I just wanted to have a check on it.
Okay.
Can you reply on the chat? All the participants can reply to
go
this
ahead
query
with
on the chat box.
session? Yes. Ask them to open that one so that it will be easier for me.
Yeah. Dear participants, how many of you have downloaded the tool, software tool? Yes, please.
What?
Downloaded. Sir, download it.
Okay.
Okay, ma'am. Can we go ahead with the hands-on session?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay.
Madam, we are also making an attempt to record the session. And at the end of the day, we are sharing the link on the YouTube channel of the Institute. You can go ahead, madam.
Okay, sir.
Okay.
Rajeshwari, madam?
Yes, madam.
Ma'am, you please guide them to open Instant Contiki because I am using Ubuntu. Can you please guide them to open Contiki 2.7 in their desktop?
Yeah, I'll open that. I'll share my screen.
Yeah, you please share your screen. After that, I will carry it forward.
Yeah. So for the participants, I hope all of you have installed the virtual box. So when you open your virtual box, it will be like this. So it is powered off. The Instant Contiki is powered off. So considering that you already installed the virtual box and then installed the Instant Contiki and that. So Oracle VM Virtual Box Manager, if you have installed it, then when you open the Virtual Box Manager, the Instant Contiki is off. So turn it on. So start the Contiki, Instant Contiki. The Ubuntu will now open. And once the Ubuntu open, the Contiki instant Contiki opens, so the password for that is user. Yeah. So you get the terminal window of Ubuntu where the Contiki is instant Contiki is installed. And here you have, when you open it in places in the home folder, you will find Contiki 2.7. So ma'am will be opening from core Ubuntu. So there she'll again have the same folders, which is then the Contiki 2.7. And this is one thing. So ma'am will be starting from this, the Contiki 2.7. And another thing, what you have to be ready with is open the terminal window. Samya ma'am, is it visible?
For me, it is not visible, ma'am, your screen.
It's
You
not
just share
visible.
it again.
Okay, let
Yeah.
me just
Share it
stop
again.
sharing it and then again I'll share it. Yeah. So on the virtual box, in the instant Contiki, there is a terminal window, and when you click on that, you get the terminal window. And here, what should I do, madam?
Yeah, next, I will also open in my same commands can be given there. Yeah, one small difference is there. You just open, ma'am, CD space Contiki 2.7.
Contiki
CONTIKI.
hyphen 2.7.
Yeah.
Yes.
Yes.
Then
Next, CD tools. TOOL. Yes. Backslash. Okay. Otherwise, CD Kuja.
Kuja. Okay.
Kuja.
Yeah.
Next, sudo sudo.
Sudo.
sudo sudo ant
And
space run run.
run.
All of you please follow these commands. And password is user, user, user.
Yes. Done, madam.
Okay, ma'am. So since I have my Contiki on core Ubuntu, I am not using instant Contiki. So from this from the screen what ma'am has shared, I hope all of you have followed the step. I will start from this point now. So I will be using some different
I think
commands.
Samya ma'am, those who have the core Ubuntu, they just have to install Contiki 2.7 and with
Yes.
that they are ready.
Right. But one thing is, hello. Yeah, when you try to download Contiki 2.7 on Ubuntu, that link is different. Don't use instant Contiki.
Okay.
Instant Contiki is only for Windows when you are using virtual machine. For core Ubuntu, you have to download only Contiki 2.7. That is specially for core Ubuntu. And after downloading also, some files will be missing. Some packages like MSP 430 packages and some other files, libraries also will be missing. Again, for that, you have to download few packages from the Google. Whereas in instant Contiki comes with all the packages in itself. So you need not go for any other extra packages in instant Contiki. But only difference is when you use it on Ubuntu, core Ubuntu, the speed of the machine will be good for the simulation. And that is more helpful when compared to instant Contiki. In instant Contiki, since it is using VMware virtual machine, speed is less when you go for some higher applications. If you use more number of nodes in the network, speed is comparatively less in instant Contiki when compared to the core Ubuntu. So that is the main difference. Otherwise, every feature is same in instant Contiki.
Ma'am, shall I unshare it?
Yeah, please unshare it now. Shall I share from my end now?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay. So this desktop comment is different. Other than this, all other commands are same. So now I have to open it from desktop. Whereas in instant Contiki, this command is not needed. Directly you can go to cd Contiki -2.7. Whatever the file name you have given to Contiki folder, you can use that Contiki 2.7. CD quantity. Okay. Okay. CD tools Puja. Give the command sudo and run. And for Ubuntu users, whatever is your desktop password, you have to enter there. Whereas for instant Contiki, the password is user, USER. For Ubuntu users, whatever you have saved the password for your desktop. Now I hope all of you have this one screen on your monitor. So now click on File, New Simulation. And you can give any name or keep as it is My Simulation. And radio medium, you have many options there. UDGM and with distance loss, with constant loss, and DGRM, no radio traffic multipath ray tracer. And it is always recommended to use UDGM. And please don't make any other changes, just click on create. Now this window will be opened. Now go to modes, add modes, create new mode type. Here you have a number of options, Z mode, Sky mode, ESP mode.
Madam,
And
can you go a little bit slower for us?
okay, okay.
Yeah, thank you.
Can I start from modes, ma'am?
Yes, ma'am. Yes, ma'am.
Okay. Add modes, create modes, create new mode type. You can choose any one of these, but always it is recommended you go for Z1 mode or Sky mode. Sky mode is nothing but a Telos B mode, hardware thing which we use. Our Z1 is nothing but Zolosia Z1 mode. Same modes are given in Contiki simulation tool also. So whichever you want to use, you can choose that one. The one feature, additional feature of Z1 mode compared to Sky mode is memory of Z1 is high than Sky mode. So either you can go for when you run some bigger code, so memory issue may arise. Hence to resolve that, it is always better to choose Z1 mode. So I am choosing Z1 mode. Ma'am, can I go to next step? Browse. Okay. So here you are into Contiki 2.7 folder. I am showing it from that step. Click on 2.7. You have so many folders. In that, click on examples. There, UDP. Sorry, just a second. IPv6. Okay, click on IPv6 here. Here, you have IPv6 folder. Click on that. Again, in IPv6, we have a number of files. Click on RPL UDP. RPL UDP. In that, click on UDP server.c. Open. Clean. So after choosing UDP server.c, click on clean. Why always we have to click on this clean? In case if some other programs we have run already, that memory, particular memory is used by the Z1. So whenever you want to upload one more code on that one, clean it before going, so that the memory will be cleaned and you can compile. If there are no errors, then you will get 0 errors to create. So how many number of server modes you want? One mode. And positioning, you can choose. Again, you have options: random positioning, linear positioning, ellipse, manual. Choose random positioning. And position intervals, I am using 100 by 100 terrain. So I'm keeping as it is. If you are willing to change that one, you can change. You can make it 200 by 200, x-axis 200, y-axis 200, or keep as it is 100 by 100 terrain with random positioning. Add modes. So one server mode, right? Next, again go to modes, add modes. Now click on create new mode type. So since I have used Z1 mode, second time also you have to use Z1 mode only. Z1 mode, browse, In RPL UDP, earlier I have used server. Server is this one. Now choose client now. UDP client.c. Open. Clean. Compile. No errors. Create. So add some 4-5 nodes. It is your wish. All other settings are same. Add modes. So look at this one. Again, left side you have view. Click at mode type. So mode types are in different colors. Node 1, which code we have uploaded on this server, UDP server. So it is showing in green now. And all other nodes are colored with yellow. They are client nodes. Okay. You can change the, you can bring them into a transmission range randomly. So now all the nodes 2, 3, 4, 5 are in the transmission range of 1. Okay. Is it done, ma'am? Can I go ahead?
No, actually, this thing, there is a problem. It says MSP 430 GCC command not found.
Okay. How about others? How about others, ma'am? Are they following same?
What about others? Are you able to get it?
Ask them to reply in chat box.
Yeah.
Or
So can you all just reply in the chat box? What is the status? Are you able to identify that? And madam, there is one doubt in the chat box. What is mode type?
that's what I showed you, Z1 mode. Either you can choose Z1 mode or Sky mode.
So others, are you able to open it and do it? Yes, yes. Chaitra ma'am is telling, yes, we can do.
Oh, okay, ma'am.
Yes, they have got it. Yeah, madam, you can move ahead, madam.
Okay, okay. Now go to this simulation control. Start. Click on start. And speed you can vary from 10%, 100%, 200, 1000%. So 100% I'm keeping, or you can keep just to check how messages are transmitted. You can keep it as 10%. According to your will, you can vary the speed. Start. Click on start. Whenever you want, you can pause it here. So for how long you are running the simulation is recorded in time here in the simulation control window. And in mode output, I hope all of them are getting the mode output. If not, go to tools, click on network, a network will appear. Okay. Click on mode output, a mode output will appear. I'll increase the speed now. So at the same time, okay, now after this, I will just pause it. Okay, left side in the mode output window, you can see you have so many options here. Time, click on time. So now when you click on time, it is showing time in milliseconds. So for it is easier for you to analyze, hence just click on time. So otherwise it will show in our pattern. Click on time, it will show in milliseconds. I'll just enlarge this window, and all what is happening in the back end is displayed in the output window. So RIME has started with the address, MAC address, node ID is set, everything. And which node we have chosen as server node while uploading the program. See, look at this. Node 1 is chosen as server node, right? It is the destination. And 2, 4, 3, 5 are the client nodes. Means they are source. They are sensing the data and sending it to 1 now. So you can see in the output window here, when you scroll it down, node ID 1. See, look at this. Server IP address. it is showing some IP address, and D is now coded as a server. And if you look at a 2, 4 and 5 line here, UDP client process started from node 4, node 2. Similarly, client process has started from node 4, 5, like that, whereas node 1 is chosen as server, hence, and created a server connection with the remote address. Node 1 has made the server client and server connection. Okay, now you can check data. Okay, I will have to run for some more time, only then data is being transferred. Run for some more time. Hello. Yeah. Okay. Hello packets received and sent are not displayed here. Okay, because for that I have to make some changes here in the Contiki 2.7. Which program I have uploaded? Examples and Contiki server and client. But for that, RPL, based on RPL, DODAG is constructed. All of you please go to Contiki 2.7. Ma'am, tell them home folder. In that, in instant Contiki, just minimize. Don't close the Kuja simulator. Pause it. Pause the simulator there. Pause it and minimize it. Then in instant Contiki, in the top toolbar, places is available. Places is there. Click on that places. Home folder is there. In that Contiki 2.7 is there. Rajeshwari ma'am. Hello.
Madam, Rajeshwari madam is not here.
Yeah, other participants, are they still in the simulator? Can I go ahead with the coding? I want to show something there, sir.
Okay.
Participants,
suppose
please can reply in the chat box. If you are still lagging in the simulation, I will explain to once again. Otherwise, coding part I will show, and again I'll get back to simulation part. Can I go ahead, Chaitra ma'am?
madam, okay. Chaitra madam is making a try. You can interact with her.
Okay. Shall I wait for their reply or shall I go ahead, sir?
Chaitra madam has said yes. You can continue.
Okay. Okay. So when you click on Contiki 2.7 here, please open the core folder 2.7 core folder. In core, click on net, and we have MAC protocols which are being used by RPL protocols, IPv6 protocols. So in that we are looking for a RPL protocol. So click on RPL folder. So we have n number of files here, rpl.c, rplh configuration file. Okay, and objective function RPL MRHOF, RPL OF0 is also given here. So click on this one, OF0. As I have told, RPL provides two objective functions, OF0 or MRHOF. So in OF0, I have given the first line. Please look at this one. OF0, RPL OF0. Debug, none I have done. So please uncomment that one. Comment that one and uncomment this. So I am making a change. Debug print. When you enable define debug print, only then related to this printf messages will be printed on the screen of Kuja. So save it. Okay. Now again go to simulator tool here, reload it. Start. OF used. Okay, OF used, you can see in the printf, it is OF0. Pause it. Data is not yet been sent.
Madam, can you repeat the steps? The participants want that steps to be repeated.
OF0 here, ma'am. Okay. Earlier, I had commented this one. Debug none. See, two lines you can see. Define debug print and debug none. So when you comment line define debug none, I'm disabling this one and enabling print. So only when define debug is enabled, you will be able to see the messages in the data, whether data is sent or no, everything will be displayed in the mote output. Even though simulator here nodes are sending and transmitting the data, it is not being displayed here because I had commented that line. Similarly, in examples folder, go to IPv6, RPL UDP and UDP client. So data received is written, no, same thing will be printed there. When you give printf, also you can check joined DAG. Please click on, all of you type joined DAG. So it will, when you type join DAG in the search window, you can see ID 5243. These nodes have joined the DAG. So look at this one. 5 joined the DAG with instance ID, 30 with rank, DAG ID, RPL, or objective function used is OF0. So 5243 have joined the DAG. So when DIO message was sent from which one? So let us see. In the search window filter, you type DIO. So look at the first message. So who is sending the DIO message here? ID1. So this is the root node ID1 is initiating DIO by multicasting DIO with the next one. Similarly, when a DIO ID1 is transmitting DIO, it is received by the next nodes 5 and 4. So after receiving, what it is doing? Next step you see RPL ID node 5, node with ID 5 is sending a multicast DIO with rank 1 to 80. Earlier ID 1 has sent a DIO with rank 256, but 5 will add its rank again to that one, and the rank is next, it is higher than that. Can you all, are you able to check this one? Rank of ID 5 is 1280, whereas rank of root node was 256. So as you move towards root node, the rank goes on decreasing. I have explained you already. Okay, like this. It was something like this, no structure. So root node was here, and now 3, 2, 5, and 4. So when you initiate DIO transmission, 3 will broadcast it. So when it receives the DIO from 1, 3 adds its rank to the 5 rank of 1, then it forwards it to 5. 5 will add its cost to it and forward it to 4. So as it moves forward, rank of the DIO goes on increasing. The node nearest to root node will be having lesser. Since I have changed the positions now, it is not showing that. Otherwise, earlier, how was it? 5 was nearest to the 1. So rank of 5 is 1 to 80. Are you able to follow this one? Okay. It's known as Yeah, next one I will choose. See, I have told you objective function used in this is, what is the objective function? Look here, is OF. Objective function used is OF0. Okay, again this one I have written one extra line. I think for you people it is not visible. I will show it here. See, printf OF used is OF0. I have added this line. Since I have added this line, when I have run and printed the message, it is printing in the simulator as well. So whatever changes you make in the code, same is replicated in the simulator. Similarly, if I want to use, instead of OF0, I want to use MRHF, then what to do? I will show you this. So Contiki 2.7, please all of you click on Contiki 2.7. We have core folder in that. Click in that net, that is network layer. There we have RPL folder. Click on the, sorry. See, one is RPL MRHOF.c, one is RPL OF0. Right now the simulation which I shown was using RPL OF0. So now I want to change it to MRHOF. So first see here whether printf, okay, MRHOF printf is there. So when I enable, earlier it was showing me in the simulator OF0 was shown, but now I want to enable RPL. Now earlier it was using OF0. Now I want RPL to use MRHOF as its objective function. So in that case, what to do? Go to RPL configuration file. Okay, all of you please click RPL configuration file. Okay, in that, if you look at this one here, see line number 56, line number 60. Okay, two options are there. Define RPL objective function OCP as MRHOF or OF0. You can use either of them, either OF0 or MRHOF. Since I have used OF0, I have disabled MRHOF and enabled OF0 it was taking. Now I want to use MRHOF in my protocol. So I will comment this line. I will disable OF0 and enable it by removing the comments. See, now I have enabled MRHOF now. Are you all able to see? That is the one change you have to make in line number 59. Next change is line number 71. In line number 71, when I was using OF0, I had used this line. Look at this one. Define RPL supported OFS, RPL OF0. Now I want to use MRHOF. I have enabled MRHOF in line number 56. So please enable MRHOF in line number 71 by uncommenting it. And whereas OF0, you have to comment it by typing 2\. Okay, after doing this, save it. Now let us see. Earlier, what was the OF it was using? In the window, it is showing OF used is OF0. Now, when I type OF, it has to show MRHOF. So let me reload it again. Because I have made changes. No, every time you make a change, you have to reload. Run. Speed limit is same. I'll keep 100. Start. And you can see when in the filter window, I typed OF. Earlier it was showing OF used was OF0. Now which OF is it using? MRHOF. See, look at this one. So DODAG is constructed now based on the rank computed using objective function MRHOF. In the previous example, DAG was constructed, DODAG was constructed using objective function OF0. So if you want to make changes, you can make changes in the RPL configuration. Okay. So these are the different points where you can make changes. So as of now, for research work, this OF0 MRHF you can do. In case if you build some other objective function, you can add that line here. Instead of this OF0 and MRHF, you create one more file and add all libraries related to them like this. Here they have added rpl.h, private.h, table.h, or add all libraries, and you can add your own objective function here and here. Then it will take that objective function proposed by you. Next, I spoke about RPL protocol, routing protocol. Are you all able to follow? Shall I go ahead? Next is routing protocol. See, in net same folder RPL, it has n number of files here. One is rpl.c, rpl-dag.c, rpl-dag-root. So what is happening? First click on rpl.c and in control find, click on control find. Init you give initialization. Init. It will come to this point. So here actually RPL initialization is taking place. Once RPL is initialized, what is the comment given there? RPL has started. That is the first step. When you enable that, the first step is RPL is initialized. Under that, after initializing that, instance is created, a null instance. Next, RPL DAG is initialized. Under RPL initialization, RPL DAG is initialized, and RPL periodic timer is set up. Some register handles, ICMP6. These are register handlers used to maintain the table or information about the neighboring nodes, which is the parent node. Everything is maintained here. Okay. Next, RPL-NS. So when RPL DAG initialization is called, it will go to, again go back to this file, RPL dag.c. So this particular program is useful for constructing a DAG. Again, when this DAG is called, it calls for one more function, that is DAG root C. How to choose a DAG root? That is again based on this function, which is defined in DAG root C, and necessary files, header files are given in RPL DAG root H. And similarly, I have told you OF0, RPL OF0, RPL MRHF are also given here. And trickle timer, which is used to transmit DIOs. For that trickle algorithm, I showed you in a flow chart, right? That flow chart, let's see. This flow chart, it is about trickle algorithm, and that trickle algorithm flow chart, according to that, a code is written in RPL timers.c. So you can just compare the flow chart with this one. Where is the flow chart? Okay. Initiated, timer interval I is initiated. So similarly, you can see. Okay, here, look at this one, a new DIO interval. When this function is called, interval is initiated, interval is chosen. In that interval, a time is chosen. That is nothing but randomly. How it chooses the random time? Somewhere between I/2 and I. That itself is the second rule. After that, what it does? Again, counter is set to 0. Look at this one. Counter is made 0. After that, it calls next DIO timer. Here in the DIO timer, look at this one. I told you counter after counter is set, and if the message is consistent, what it does? It will check whether DIO counter C is lesser than redundancy K. Okay, that is what was shown in the flow chart, right? Here, is C lesser than K? That is written in the code here. Is C, look at this, DIO, second one. DIO counter is lesser than redundancy counter. Only then what it does? DIO output. It means transmit the DIO. Otherwise, if DIO counter is not lesser than redundancy counter, suppress DIO transmission. How it suppresses the DIO send is made 0. By making it 0, the DIO transmission is suppressed and it is made 0. Like that, all the changes. Again, last point I showed you is interval minimum is greater than Imax. So that is checked here. If interval minimum is doubled, is it greater than that? If so, then make it int minimum. DIO int current plus plus. Again, if not, here look at this flow chart. If not, then go back to this step, again start from the beginning. So what they are doing here? They are going back to new DIO interval. Again, it starts from that point. Here, go back to this one, new interval is chosen, time is chosen somewhere between I by 2 and I. Again, it checks the same thing. Like this, for each and everything, code is written. You have to use. And again, I minimum, I max, I told you, those all are defined here in the Contiki configuration file. See, I minimum is nothing but DIO interval minimum in Contiki configuration file in Contiki 2.7 core under that net RPL. When you go to this file, Contiki configuration.h file will open. Under that you can see int minimum, DIO interval minimum. How much is given? 12. Int minimum, DIO interval doubling. How much? 8. That is nothing but Imax. And redundancy constant by default Conti is taking it as 10, but you can vary it based on your requirement. But these are the values 12, 8 and 10 are the values given provided by the RFC 6550. And I will show that also, just a second. This is what is RFC 6550. I have downloaded it already. Okay, 6th one. See, this is what DIO message it is transmitting. No, that DIO has its base object, that format. How IPv4, IPv6 we have its format. No, fields are there in that. Similarly, DIO packets, packet format is something like this, as I have shown you on the screen. It has RPL instance ID, version number, rank. So whatever rank is computed, that rank is updated here in the packet. Version number is updated, RPL instant ID, G, whether grounded or no, mode of operation, and everything is updated. DODAG ID, every DODAG constructed will be given an ID. So that DODAG ID is also updated. So once a node receives this packet, it will understand what is the rank of previous node. It will add its rank to that and it will forward to the next neighboring node. Similarly, we have DIO object also, where DIO sequence number, acknowledgement number, DODAG ID will be there. For every DIO, a DIO will be sent back, confirming that I have received a DIO and I'm joining the network. For that, to keep the sequence count, they are giving a DIO sequence with RPL instance ID and DODAG ID. So based on this sequence, if sequence 1 is there, so it will understand with so and so RPL instance ID, with so and so DODAG ID. So this sequence 1 belongs to this node. So it will understand by this DIO sequence which node has sent. It will understand by realizing the number given in DIO sequence. Okay. So this is all about this one, RPL folder. Similarly, when you go to net, go to Mac, you have a number of CSMA.c, Contiki Mac, CXMax, 6LowMac, TSCH, Framer.h, NullRDC, MacC, MacH. This folder is all about MAC protocol. So if you want to modify any MAC protocol, you can make some changes here, or if you are developing your own protocol, so write the protocol, give some name, save it as .c, and use all necessary libraries and give it in the Contiki and .net configuration file in RPL net RPL. Here in the configuration file, give all the necessary information, which protocol you are using, everything you can give here, which MAC protocol you are using, everything can be changed here. Sir, I want to show one more experiment. Shall I show, or time is up? Hello? Hello? Hello?
Madam, can Chaitra madam can answer it, because she's the one.
If you want to show one more simulation, I can show, or that's sufficient. If time is up, I will stop at this point.
How much of time is required, madam?
Show the other example. Okay, I will show one more example then. No, the only thing what I want to show here is, so you have created a network, simulation network, you have run it, right? Along with this, you can use Wireshark. One more is Wireshark. How to note down? See, few parameters on which a researcher can concentrate on: convergence time, that is the number of control overhead in the network, that is number of DIO packets, DIS. So note how many DIOs and DAO packets are being exchanged between these nodes. You can use Wireshark as the application. So since I have already downloaded Wireshark, I have that facility in my laptop. You can just go through this. Later you can download Wireshark in your Ubuntu or Instant Contiki, and you can use that one. So I'll just show the simulation output, how to analyze it using Wireshark. So now, how many packets? Control overhead is nothing but together DIS control messages exchanged to construct a DAG is nothing but control overhead.
Madam, madam, there's a question in the chat box. Chaitra ma'am is asking,
just
she's
a second.
using Core Ubuntu, yeah, and Contiki 2.7.
I'm sure that I'm using Core Ubuntu and please let us know how to use Wireshark. Okay. Here you please go to Wireshark in the Google. Download the file. Okay. Whichever you want, you just choose which version you are using and you have to download. Since it has been already downloaded in my PC, for me, it is not, I'm not possible to show, ma'am. Okay. You can choose which
It's
version.
there in the constant Instant Contiki also, it is there. Wireshark is downloaded in that as well.
It is there. Okay. Then you just Chaitra, use it from here. Okay. And once it is downloaded, you can keep it on the screen. Obviously on the monitor desktop, it is kept here. Left side, you can see this is nothing but a Wireshark application. Okay. It is Wireshark Network Analyzer. So Chaitra ma'am, I will show the example here. Okay. So you please download it from the Google, and once it is downloaded, you have kept it on the desktop. How to use to enable that? You just download and keep. You need not do anything else to that. The more network I have created in the simulator window. There, go to tools. There you have one more message, a radio messages. One option is there. Click on that. After clicking, are you all following? Click on analyzer. 6-LoWPAN analyzer with PCAP, that is packet analyzer, PCAP. Click on this. You have to enable that. Only then you can see the output in the Wireshark. So before doing this only, you have to, since I had already run the experiment, I'll reload it once again. Okay. After reloading, before starting the simulation only you have to do. Only then packets which are being transmitted between, exchanged between source and destination will be captured. So after reloading, before starting the simulation, go to tools, radio messages, there analyzer, click on, no analyzer will be there by default. Click on 6LoWPAN analyzer with the PCAP. Now it is enabled. Start it. So left side you can see packet capture is under progress here. Okay. I will run it for around 30 minutes. Since speed is, I will increase the speed so that in real time it is taking 40 minutes to run the simulation, but since I have increased the speed, it will end early. So now 40 minutes. The simulation which I have run is for 40 minutes because I have made speed as 200%. I have increased the speed. Now see, look at this one. How many packets are being exchanged? 50 packets. So to see how many DIO, DIS packets are seen, please go to this one, Contiki 2.7. In Contiki 2.7 tools, Contiki 2.7 tools, in tools, Kuja, in Kuja build file. So these are all the PCAPs, Wireshark files, which I have already run for my work. So last file, go to the last file. You have one test template.c. Before that, one file is there. Check at the properties. So this is the file of today's simulation, April 6, 15.34. Just now I have run the simulation. No, this packet belongs to that simulator. So click on this one. It opens in the Wireshark platform. So I want to see it displays all DIO messages and DIS messages and also UDP. So total how many? In 40 minutes simulator, in 40 minutes simulation for this node, for this network, how many packets have been exchanged? You can see here total 50 packets have been exchanged. Out of them, how many DIOs? To check that, ICMP v6 dot code equal to 0. So when you do this, it will show how many DIS packets are being exchanged. So total how many? Out of 52 are DIS packets. Next, 1 ICMP v6 dot code is equal to 1. So how many DIOs are exchanged? Total 23 DIOs are exchanged out of 50 packets. Next, how many DAO packets? 8 packets out of 50 are DAO packets, acknowledgement packets. Okay. So if you want to check UDP, click here, UDP, apply. You have to click here, one some filter kind of thing. Can you see? Click on that, UDP, apply. So no UDP packets, no data packets are been transmitted yet. Hence it is showing 0. Okay. That is the reason it was not showing here. When I typed data, it was not showing any data packets here because no data packets are being transmitted between one and other nodes, between source and destination. So these are the few steps, important steps. Similarly, for, when you look at tools, you can use collect view, start collect, send commands to nodes, and go to node information. It will show all the information: power, average power consumed, network, sensors, battery voltage, temperature, everything is shown. But sometimes what happens, since it is open source and we don't get proper support from Contiki developers, for few installations, this collect view is not working. Even in my machine, collect view is not working, but it is not showing any error. But even after sending the commands and to collecting the information, no readings are shown in collect view, but in some installations it may show. For my installation, I don't know, it is not working, but for you it may work. You try. We wrote many mails also, but no answers for that. It is just nobody knows the answer. In some installations it works, otherwise no. Hence we are making utilization of this Wireshark to note down all DIO packets, number of DIS packets, DIO packets. And similarly here, if you want to check convergence, I told you how to check. Joined DAG, you type, it will show. Okay, so what is the last? 5124 milliseconds is the time at which last node has joined the network. So when the DIO was sent, I am typing DIO. See, from 1. Okay, first time who is initiating DIO transmission? Node 1. Sending multicast DIO. ID 1 is sending. At what time? 5103. So how much time it took for all nodes to join the network? For DODAC construction, how much time it took? It took 24 milliseconds, because first time DIO sent was at 5103 milliseconds, and the time at which it has joined the DAG is 5124. So 5124 minus 5103 is nothing but 21 milliseconds. So it is taking 21 milliseconds for this network where 2, 3, 4, 5, all the networks are, all the nodes are joining the network. Okay, so like this. Similarly, when you increase number of nodes in the network, more time is taken. So the more time is nothing but the time taken from all the nodes to join the network is nothing but convergence time. And convergence time, I told you how to calculate. Joined DAG will show you the last message. You just note down the time at which the last node joined the network, plus when the first message DIO was transmitted from 1. So this minus the DIO message sent from the server node 1. Joined DAG, last message is timing 5124, and DIO, filter DIO only. The first DIO at which time it was sent. This time minus the time at which the first DIO was sent will give you the convergence time. So you can calculate convergence time, number of DIO packets, DIS packets, DIO packets. Similarly, if data was not received in this application, if data was received, it will show how the data is, at what time data is being received, it will be shown there. Okay, so that's it, sir. From my end, any doubts, any queries? Any queries?
Any questions from the participants? Any doubts?
Do I have time, or so, ma'am, it's time up? In some
No
other
problem. You
application?
have time.
Okay,
No
then I
problem.
will
You
show
have time. It's up to the participants.
Shall I show with data transmitted?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay. Some other application, means in the same Contiki only, I have written some code. There I will show how that tools. Okay. So in Contiki 2.7, some applications will not be there. I mean, all applications are there. For particular code, you have commented or uncommented. So what I am doing, I am just showing. Wait, I'll create one new simulation. Add Z1 mode, UDP server. Create, add modes, Z1 mode, browse. So now I will choose the client, compile, create some 5 modes. So I'll enable Wireshark. Clicking on 6-LoWPAN with PCAP, and speed I will give as 100. Okay. Now you can see here, I have created a network. This is a same Contiki 2.7, but I have used it for my research work. So some other folder, Contiki 2.7 only, but I have written some code in this one. So I'm using that. For that application, I just taking this as example to show how it is showing. Hello, one message sent, data sent to. So please note, one, click on this view mode type. So node 1 was the server node, 2, 3, 4, 5. All are client nodes. So these are source, 2, 3, 4, 5. They are sensing some data and sending it to 1. So 1 is receiving the data. So my destination is 1. These are source. So now look at this one. Data is sent to 1, hello 1. What is the data? I am sending hello 1. If I am sending data as a Soumya will be received from node 1. So data is sent from which node? ID, node with ID 4. This node, a node with ID 4 is sending data, hello 1 data to 1. And ID 1 is received, data received hello 1 from the client from 4. And so on. If you run it for some more time, all data will be sent. And look at this one, a data packet sent from 4 and received at 1, and at what time it is sending? 51127 milliseconds. Sorry, data sent was 51115 milliseconds, received was at 51127. So what is the difference? 51127 minus 51115, it is around 12 milliseconds. So the latency to reach from 4 to 1, that latency is how much? 12 milliseconds. So run for some more time. So all other messages also will be displayed. So look at this one. Again, node 3 is sending the data here to node 1. Again, that node is receiving the data. So sent at 573 milliseconds, received at 592 milliseconds. So what is the difference? 19 milliseconds is the latency of data to reach from 3 to 1. Like that, summation of latency can be taken, divided by for how much time. So to calculate latency, that formula you can just browse in the Google and see. So summation of all the nodes, time taken to send data from 4 to 1, 6 to 1, 5 to 1, 3 to 1 and 2 to 1 together and averaging out will show you the latency for this one. So also you have one more tool here, simulation script editor. When you click on tools, simulation script editor, if you click on this, you can make modifications in this code, JavaScript. You can make however you want, you can write the code, and only for that particular code reading will be shown and it is displayed here. But I am not using JavaScript, so only I can give you some insights only for so much. Please write your own code here. It's a JavaScript. Based on that, you will get the output, or you can do it manually by using mode output. One more option to see how many DIO packets, DIS, DIO are sent is using Wireshark. So these are the 3 options, and one more options. You can use any one of them, either of the either mode output window, Wireshark, or JavaScript, or one more option is Contiki Wave. So looking at, and one more is more. See, now this radio duty cycle, click on tools. You have mode radio duty cycle. Click here. Okay. And start. When you start the simulation, I will reduce the speed. When you start the simulation, you can see how much, for how long the radio was on, for 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and 6. It is showing accordingly. Okay. For how much time radio was on for server node, for 4, 5, 6, and 3. Okay. That is how it is done here. Using these tools you can do. Also collect we will give, but in my installation it is not working. For you it may work. You can try there also. Okay, and one more thing to keep in mind is, when using Kuja simulator, please don't use number of nodes beyond 70 nodes. Either 60 or 70 can be the maximum number of nodes which are deployed in the network in Kuja simulator. On top of that, if you go beyond that one, software or operating system gets crashed. So the safe limitation to use is 60 or 70 nodes maximum. And simulation also don't go beyond 2 hours. Again, same memory issues, Z1 modes to type all the messages. Everything is saved in the Z1 mode memory. So again, memory is wasted there also. So whichever you want, only print those messages and you can comment other messages. Like that, you can just note down the readings. So that's it from my end, ma'am. I hope it was useful.
Yeah. Yeah. Any questions from the participants? Yes. Any doubts you want to ask, ma'am? Madam, there is a question in the chat box. So they're asking for your mail ID.
Sure, ma'am. So soumyav4@gmail.com. And I think somebody has asked what is moat. Hello. Somebody has asked what is moat. The moat is nothing but the sensor node. It is not only sensor mode. In real time, what you call it? A sensor mode is, sensor node is used for sensing temperature, acceleration, humidity. When it does, that particular node does only sensing, it is called a sensor node. Moat is nothing but a mode which we are talking about, sky mode, Z1 mode, a hardware tool where along with the sensor node sensing application, it has MSP430 on it. It has an antenna, receiver, and transceiver antenna it has, and a memory chip, and a radio antenna of a CC2420 is used. I will just show that is called as a moat. It is together. I'll just display that one here to show them. Velocity moat image I can show you. So this is nothing but a moat. So if you look at this one, we have a MSP430 microcontroller on this one, and also it is embedded with the sensor nodes. Telosp modes, by default it has a humidity sensor and a temperature sensor. If you want to use motion sensor and to check acceleration, you can just use those sensor nodes and use them for sensing acceleration and motion. That facility is also given. Some slots are given where you can weld the sensor nodes actually, and a antenna. Look at this one here. I think this picture is given. It has a MSP430 microcontroller and a radio CC2420 and a transceiver antenna and sensing sensors which are used for different applications. So together this is known as a moat, sensor moat. Along with the sensing, it has a microcontroller on this. So that together is called as a Telos B sensor moat. Like that we have Z1 Zolercia Z1 mode. So this is nothing but a Zolercia Z1 mode. The memory of Zolercia Z1 is better when compared to the Telos B mode. So these days many researchers are working and they are trying their experiments on the Zolercia Z1 mode. Yeah, that's it, ma'am. So this is how actually Zolercia mode looks like. Inside it has configuration something like this platform. So again it has a microcontroller, transceiver antenna, everything is same with some sensors, inbuilt sensors, temperature, humidity. Apart from that, if you want to send something else, you have to weld separately. It has some slots for that also. You can use it using by welding the sensors, whichever you want to use. Okay, ma'am. That's it. Any other doubts?
Okay, suppose there are no doubts. I would like to thank Samya Vastrad Madam for a interactive session on Contiki OS along with Kuja. Thank you very much, Madam, for your time and effort in
Yeah,
making.
thank you, sir. Thank you. Thanks a lot. Thank you all the participants and Rajeshwari madam and the one Chaitanananda sir and Bhavya ma'am and Rajeshwari ma'am for giving me an invitation for a talk, and it was really good. Thank you so much, and I hope it was helpful for all the participants. And if you have any more queries, you can reach out to me with the mail ID which I have given in the chat box. Thank you.
Okay. In fact, this is the second of the interaction you have it with our department.
Yes, ma'am. Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
Okay.
That's right.
On the first count, we missed out your recording. Now we have made the recording of the session.
Okay.
And we are sharing that recorded version of the sessions on our YouTube channel of the Institute.
Okay, sir.
And I have
Yeah.
posted the link for the YouTube channel also. Participants can go through that recording.
Okay.
And now I'll be posting the feedback form for the session 4. Please take time to fill up the feedback form, and we'll keep open this platform for another 5 minutes. You can submit your feedbacks. And thank you all for your participation.
Thank you, sir. So can I leave the meeting?
Yes, ma'am.
Yeah, thank you.
Day 3 session, that is on tomorrow, is on research and standardization in IoT security, will be at 10:30 a.m. Hope to see you tomorrow on the right time.